The wind that night carried the scent of smoke long before he saw the fire. Jacob Harlow had been riding home from the valley after delivering a herd of cattle. His horse tired, the day dying in streaks of red. From the top of the hill he froze, his home below was burning. The barn, the corral, the wheat fields, everything he'd built with his own hands was swallowed in flames. Through the smoke, he saw the deep marks of horses, dozens of them cutting through the dirt like scars. He kicked his horse forward and ran toward the inferno, shouting, "Clara! Clara!" The heat drove him back. The roof collapsed, the fire hissed and crackled, and there was no answer, only the roar of everything he loved turning to ash. When dawn came, the fire was gone, leaving only silence and ruin. Jacob walked through the blackened remains, ashes clinging to his boots. Then he saw her shawl, torn, half buried in the dust. Not burned, taken, he knew it immediately. Clara was alive, but in the hands of men who deserved no mercy. By midday, he reached Fort Wilmore, an outpost ruled by whiskey, poker, and greed. He stormed in, covered in soot. "They took my wife," he said. "I need men. I'll pay whatever it takes." The captain barely looked up from his cards. "This land eats people, son. You build too far from the fort, you take your chances." Jacob slammed his fist on the table. "You think I'll rest while they've got her?" The soldiers stared but didn't move. "Cowards, everyone!" He walked out into the dust alone. But he wasn't beaten. There was one place left, one place most men feared to go. The Apache lands beyond the Red Canyon. Years ago, he'd traded horses and food with them. He'd seen their honor, their strength, their code. If anyone knew vengeance, it was them. For 2 days, he rode without sleep, following the desert sun by day and the stars by night. When he reached the canyon, he knew he was being watched. Out of the dusk they appeared, silent riders circling him like ghosts. At their front rode Taza, son of a great Apache chief. "White man rides into our land alone," Taza said. "He must be brave or foolish." "Maybe both," Jacob answered, lowering his hands. Then he told everything, the fire, the raiders, the fort that turned its back. For a long time, Taza said nothing. "You came to the people your kind has hunted," he said. "I came to those who understand what it means to lose everything." Taza studied him, then extended his hand. "You helped my father once when our children were hungry. We remember. Now we help you. But know this, when we ride for blood." Jacob gripped his hand. "Then we ride for the same reason." That night, under a sky thick with stars, 500 Apache warriors prepared for war. Jacob sat among them, listening to their chants rising with the fire. For the first time since his world had burned, he felt purpose again. He was no longer a rancher. He was a man forged in loss, ready to return fire with fire. At dawn, the horizon glowed gold and the ground trembled under the weight of 500 hooves. Feathers blazed in the sunlight. The war drums thundered. Jacob mounted his horse beside Taza. "Clara," he whispered. "I'm coming." The return of fire. For 3 days they rode, tracking the raiders' trail through canyons and dry riverbeds. Each broken branch, each print in the dust pulled Jacob closer to the ones who had destroyed his life. By dusk on the 4th day, they reached Dead Man's Creek. Smoke curled up from the valley below. The raiders had made camp, drunk and careless. Jacob crouched beside Taza, peering down at the wagons. And there, tied near one of them, was Clara. Even from a distance, he knew her shape, her hair. His pulse quickened, rage flooding his veins. Taza placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your woman lives. But if you rush, she dies. Control your fire, white man." Jacob breathed hard. "I'll control it long enough to burn them all." At Taza's signal, the warriors vanished into the rocks. Moments later, the first scream split the night. Arrows rained down, silent and deadly. Chaos erupted, horses reared, men shouted, firelight flashing across terrified faces. Jacob charged downhill, rifle blazing. The world became a storm of dust and gunfire. One raider lunged at him. Jacob fired point blank. Another came swinging a knife. Jacob disarmed him, slammed him into the dirt, and fired again. Every face became another ghost of the night his home had burned. Through the chaos, he saw Clara struggling against her ropes. A raider grabbed her, pressing a gun to her head. But before he could speak, an arrow from Taza's bow pierced his throat. Jacob reached her, cut her free. "Jacob?" she gasped, staring at the blood and smoke around him. "I've got you," he said, voice trembling. "You're safe now." But the fight wasn't finished. From a burning tent stepped Cutter, the leader, the man with the scar who had ordered the raid. He raised a shotgun. "You should have stayed dead, rancher." He roared and fired. The blast grazed Jacob's shoulder, throwing him down. Cutter reloaded, sneering. Jacob saw his rifle out of reach, the world tilting in slow motion. Pain screamed through his body. Then his hand closed around a broken spear. As Cutter lifted his gun, Jacob hurled the spear with every ounce of fury left in him. It struck Cutter in the chest, driving him backward into the flames. His scream was the last sound before the fire consumed him. The valley fell silent, except for the crackle of burning wood and the low chant of Apache victory. Jacob staggered to his feet beside Taza, watching the smoke rise into the dawn. "It is done," Taza said. Jacob's eyes were hard. Now it's justice. By sunrise, the battle was over. The raiders were gone, some dead, others scattered to the wind. The Apache gathered their fallen, standing proud in the new light. Clara leaned on Jacob's shoulder, weak but alive. "You shouldn't have come alone," she whispered. "I didn't," he said, nodding toward the ridgeline. 500 warriors sat mounted in the rising sun, feathers glowing red and gold. Taza approached, his expression solemn. "Your debt is paid. You fought with honor." Jacob extended his hand. "You gave me back my life." Taza clasped it firmly. "Then remember this, vengeance burns fast, but brotherhood, that fire lasts forever." As the warriors rode east, their chants faded into the wind. Jacob and Clara watched the dawn spread across the desert. "What now?" she asked. Jacob looked to the horizon. "Now we start again. This land tried to break us, but it made us stronger." He turned his horse toward the endless plains, the ashes of the past behind him, the promise of freedom ahead. The wind whispered through the grass, carrying one last vow. They burned his home and took his wife. But he returned with 500 Apache warriors. If this story moved you, if you felt the dust, the fire, and the courage burning in every word, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel right now for more powerful Western stories, tales of revenge, honor, and redemption that keep history alive. Hit the like button, share it with friends who love epic storytelling, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next ride. Because out here in the wild frontier, every story leaves its mark, and yours begins with one simple click. Subscribe, like, share, stay wild.